We here at John Co. believe in giving back to the communities that have allegedly been ravaged by our extra-dimensional products.
Is this about the Mind Spiders? Or the Flesh Pit? Or the Chili Cook-Off?
According to the court injunction, that chili cook-off did not happen, and by mentioning it, you are now in violation of the Geneva Conventions.
Oh, yeah. Remembering it's a war crime now.
In our exhaustive sociological surveys, John Co.'s Human Analysis Department has determined the two largest problems faced today are lack of housing and lack of nutrition. So, out of the loving goodness of our hearts and on the advice of our Legal and Marketing Council, we are proud to present the Biological Mobile Apartment Complex.
That's a kaiju.
Correction! That is John Co.'s patented Biological Mobile Apartment Complex. Within is a perfect climate-controlled common area with a number of personal rooms custom-tailored to your particular needs.
That's the stomach.
And what is it that so many normal, unmodified human people desire? Why, security, of course. These 10-foot-long security spikes at the main entrance make sure that nobody gets in but those properly invited.
Is the invitation barbecue sauce? Because those are clearly teeth.
We here at John Co. have a prepared statement regarding your concerns.
This paper just says fuck off and start the show.
What a fantastic idea you've presented, Frank. Let's start the show.
Hi, I'm John Belliston.
I'm Frank Shaw. You are listening to Relevant to Our Interests.
All right.
Hey!
Well, welcome back to another episode of Relevant to Our Interests. I am your host, Frank, and with me, as always, is my co-host, the...
A pile of human garbage.
Well, I don't think that's true. You don't need to be hard on yourself like that.
No, I mean,
And
I'm reanimated human garbage.
Okay, that's fair. I guess.
That's why I'm always covered in wrappers, Frank.
Like Kanye West and Killer Mike?
Yes.
Rapper? Yeah.
Yes, precisely.
And also with me is my two friends, Ruger the dog. You may hear panting. I can't get him. I don't have the heart to make him just leave the studio I'm in.
I keep offering to have it surgically removed, but he's all like, blah, 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 I need blood.
Well, I'm talking about my dog, Ruger the dog.
Oh yeah, no, I meant you. I figured I was going to remove your heart so then you wouldn't, feel things.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the death. Because of the death that happens when you remove someone's heart.
I want to say that Ruger the dog is a good boy, but it's hot, and I have to turn the fans off in here when I am recording stuff because otherwise it sounds like I'm standing in the middle of a hurricane and doesn't make for good audio. And I barely have good audio as it is, and that's even debatable. So you might hear Ruger panting once in a while because it's warm and he refuses to go into the other part of the house where it's air conditioned. So anyway, with that tangent out of the way, so one quick thing before we get started on today's show. So originally when we came back with our We're Back episode this year, I said that we may be only getting about every other week, maybe every 3 weeks. Well, it looks like it's about every 3 weeks at the moment.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but this is the way it's going to be for probably the majority of the summer. That being said, you can still expect it. John has a bunch of stuff that he's got going on.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about on another show. I have some stuff, but not as much as John. And then he's not as able to record as easily as me. So there's also that. Basically, I'm saying it's John's fault. Although sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's totally my fault. But anyway, so for the interim, you can expect an episode about every 3 weeks until we either get a pile of episodes recorded, which we may do towards the end of the summer, or our ability to record more often is rectified. So, anyway, today's episode is on, John,
Godzilla vs. Kong.
a show that John personally detested. And
Yeah. I actually I burned down. I think just everywhere. Like I just started burning, and it all sort of got hazy. After
you know, all of the heat that we're currently experiencing, that's from the fire John started.
Yeah.
And
So you know that song? You know that song? I didn't start the fire, or we didn't start the fire.
Yeah,
That is no longer accurate for me.
Yeah. I also have a redo of Let It Go. We actually came up with this at my place of employment. I did actually, and it's Let It Burn.
Yes.
Which
it burn.
which
Let it burn.
we're burning. I actually haven't written all the lyrics out, but I'm actually going to. That being said, it's funny right now. In 2 months, it may not be as funny because wildfires are a thing, and
Yeah. Well, we'll see who's on fire by the end of July, and kind of decide on how funny it is then.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because I think there's always going to be a base level of funny. It's just whether or not it's going to have going to be layered with tastelessness.
That's fair, and it may be very much so. Anyway, but we're talking about Godzilla vs. Kong, and if you haven't seen it, it was in theaters and on HBO Max back in March and April. It's not. I'm not sure. I know it's not on HBO Max anymore, or HBO Now, or whatever the fuck their service is called.
It is on YouTube TV though. You can buy it through Google.
Oh, you
and
can.
I know this because I am 52 minutes 34 seconds into my rewatch of it on YouTube Movies.
That's fair, and if you have bought it, then that means I have access to it as well. So I could have rewatched it had I known that, but I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't think to let you know that. So
that's fine. I think I can. Once we actually get going, I think you'll be doing a majority of the speaking. So I'm hoping. I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah. So Godzilla vs. Kong. It's the fourth film in the Godzilla universe.
Well, I think they just call it the Monsterverse.
The Monsterverse.
Yeah. This is the last one of them. Like they're not going any further than that.
Really? Are they not?
I think the days of trying to build like cinematic universes are kind of fallen apart a little bit. I think Toho has gone in and is reclaiming some of the rights.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I'm
not certain on that one, but
and that makes sense because let's be honest, like the cinematic universes that are there that we have, which are the Marvel, which despite its flaws has done remarkably well, and I think will continue to do remarkably well for at least the next 5 or 6 years, if not a full decade. And then the DCU, which we don't talk about on this podcast because most of the shows are not as enjoyable.
I think there's some of them that might be worth going into because, to be totally honest, Aquaman and Shazam were just stupid fun. They were a lot of fun. I really liked them.
I enjoyed the hell. I actually haven't watched Aquaman yet. I enjoyed the hell.
I think that's another one. I think I can't remember. I may have bought that one on my YouTube, on the YouTube movies thing. But
I'll check it out.
Check that, yeah.
I'll check it out.
If not, I know it's on HBO.
No, I watched Shazam. I thought we talked about Shazam on here.
We might have.
I don't know. I'll have to look. We may have talked about Shazam. I know we talked about Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman.
Yeah, because Wonder Woman.
But I thought we talked about Shazam too. But yeah, no, you're right. It's hard to make it's hard to do a cinematic universe. It's got to be done organically. And now that everyone's trying to jump on the bandwagon of it, it's super hard to do that.
Well, unless we did it like way back when. I'm not seeing Shazam on here.
Well,
We could do that one on Christmas thing, because that one's a Christmas movie. It really is. Not necessarily in a bad way, though. Like, I actually really yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, we might be able to. But anyway, doing Marvel worked because it was an organic sort of culmination. Like once they realized that we may be able to get rid of, do this, they started planning things out and shit. But after that, everyone sort of fell on that bandwagon. I think that's, I think it's part of the problem.
I think part of the other real problem with everybody else is that they weren't willing to put in the time, because Marvel was building to that for a long time. Like since they did the little Easter eggs in the first Iron Man.
Yeah.
Like they started to build. I mean, they didn't know necessarily what they were building towards, but they kept getting good, better and better reactions to it, and so it just kept.
Yeah.
It sort of snowballed, and it snowballed fairly organically. So.
Yeah, that's one thing. Everyone else is like, oh shit, well look what Marvel's doing. Let's do that. Yeah. Now, I think the MonsterVerse worked okay, just because it already had sort of a built-in, with both Godzilla and King Kong.
Yeah,
already.
Yeah. I think sort of if the first Godzilla, if the 2016 Godzilla had been a stronger film, I think if that one had been a stronger film, it would have done better, because like King of the Monsters, that's a really good movie.
Yeah,
that is just a good movie. This one, I mean, it's not as good as King of the Monsters, but it's still a really solid, fun flick.
Yes. So those are our final thoughts. No, I'm kidding. We're actually going to talk about it a little bit more.
Yes.
Here, I mean, you're probably right. I mean, I'm sure they're not planning anymore, but I never say never when it comes to movie studios in dollar signs.
Yeah. That
is
very true.
I don't know how well this film did between HBO and the movie theaters. So I don't know if it made enough to justify continuing with the franchise, but I suspect if it did, there might be some glad handing going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. That being said, let's talk about the movie.
Yes.
I'm going to give a quick rundown, and John will interject as he feels need to, of the plot. Then we'll talk about the characters. Then we'll just talk about our thoughts in general. So, Godzilla has reemerged after an absence with his fight with Ghidorah, and has started attacking monarch sites around the world. On Skull Island, a group of scientists led by an anthropologist protects Kong, who has grown large and seems to resent their presence. The daughter of the lead scientist has a special connection with Kong and can communicate with him through sign language. Godzilla's new violent activity has scientists worried that he'll eventually come after Kong. After verifying the hypothesis that the Earth is actually hollow and that there is an entry to the center of it in Antarctica, the scientists decide to transport Kong there. After battling Godzilla on the way to Antarctica, on what I might add was a fun boat fight scene in the middle of the ocean, but they have Kong drugged until they realize Godzilla's coming after him, and then they
yeah. Although one of the things I do like is that there's a number of times where they show pretty clearly how deep a disadvantage Kong is at.
Yeah,
which was something that I was really worried about, because he's a giant monkey.
Yeah.
And I mean, there were all those people babbling onward about like, well, but he's got thumbs. It's like he's also not immune to radiation.
Yeah. It's true. As far as we know, he's not.
Yeah.
It's sort of indicated he's not. But after the battle, they get to Antarctica. They enter the Hollow Earth, and they discover a temple that I'm not entirely sure was either made to Kong in his predecessors or made by Kong in his predecessors. I was never clear on that.
Yeah.
But it's a big temple, and there's a throne that is clearly Khan's, and there's a scepter that has, I'm just going to fucking say magical powers, because that's basically kind of, I mean, I know there's some sort of radiation energy bullshit, but let's be honest, it's just magic.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things I liked with that moment there was that you see that all the power, everything that they did was all just the source of the energy that they were looking for was just Godzilla. Like, that's just, it's like, oh yes, this infinite power source that we are looking for. Like, oh, it's just that big fuck off lizard that we can't actually kill or harm in any way. God damn it.
Meanwhile, Millie Bobby Brown and friends sneak into a Monarch facility and then sneak on board an underground transport that takes them to another facility where they discover that Monarch has made Mechagodzilla. Khan does some crazy power shit with a magic scepter he gets, and Godzilla shoots down towards the center of the earth with his thing, and then everyone returns to the surface, and King Kong and Godzilla have a giant-ass fight, and Khan almost dies, but then is saved, and then Khan and Godzilla team up to destroy the out-of-control Mechagodzilla. The end.
Yeah.
That is the plot synopsis. I probably could have even cut it down more than that, but I didn't.
Yeah. Well, it is not a complicated or complex plot.
No.
This is a spectacle film.
It is.
This is about just looking awesome and things looking awesome.
And they have some really cool set pieces. Like Kong Island looks really cool.
Yeah.
The transport ships and the fight on the way to Antarctica is really well done, in my opinion. I thought it was well done.
Agreed.
The Hollow Earth was amazing.
Yeah, that was really cool.
And then the fight, you know what? I'm going to be honest. The city fights are always the most boring thing for me, because
I can see that.
But it was still good. Like it was. I mean, it was still exciting. But yeah, obviously the only now we're gonna talk about characters. The only ones that matter really are Kong and Godzilla. And the young girl who could communicate with Godzilla, King Kong, not Godzilla.
Yeah, there was another reviewer I was watching that said that their relationship between Kong and the little girl was the heart of the film. And I think that's actually pretty fair.
Yeah, I can buy that. I think that overall, and the girl, the character's name is Gia. And she's played by a young actress named Kaylee Hottle. She's a fine actress, especially for a child actor. Did really well. There's some good actors in this. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Millie Bobby Brown revises her role as Madison Russell.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Chandler returns as Mark Russell, her dad, the character's father.
Yeah, very briefly.
Very briefly. Alexander Skarsgård plays one of the crazy, a crazy guy who has the Hollow Earth theory. Rebecca Hall plays the lead anthropologist, scientist.
Yeah. The one who's been working with Kong and the little girl for basically since, and I think they explained that the sort of like the tribe that was on Skull Island, and they were like wiped out by a storm or something. Yeah, it's not overly important why, but they were just sort of like wiped out, and that's why the little girl's being raised by this anthropologist, which is kind of on shaky anthropological ground.
Well,
ethically, but I mean, like I get it. I'm not saying there. It's just I did a little bit of training in anthropology, and that's one of those where it's a little
Well, it's clearly in a gray area, I believe.
Yeah,
But regardless, and then Brian Tyree Henry plays the conspiracy theorist Bernie Hayes, which we didn't mention in the theme, but that's Millie Bobby Brown in Friends. One of those friends is her fuck off high school friend.
Yeah, her friend who's just following them around.
And
he was in the Tale of the Wilder People.
And then this conspiracy theorist, who I like the character. I like the character of the conspiracy theorist. But yeah, the human characters just don't fucking matter in this movie. Really,
oh no, not in the slightest. I mean, like with the exception, like the fact that there are humans to transport Kong from area to area is the only thing of any import.
Yeah,
that's all the humans really do. That and create Mechagodzilla.
Well, that I would say, with the one exception of the little girl Gia, there is no reason for any of the other characters. Or there's no reason, like, any other characters could literally just be named Scientist 1, Scientist 2.
Yes. Or Human, also Engineer. A human, another human.
Engineer 1. It just doesn't matter. The most important... Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, the one... Well, mine's a completely different point, so continue with yours.
That being said, the two monsters... The most important thing about them are the fight scenes, and that's where all the tension and drama come from in this film. Really, is the fights between.
To me, it also sort of shows that there's a lot of potential in very simple character interactions, like because the whys, the whos, like the backstories, all that stuff doesn't matter. It's just they're right there. They need to fight because they can't, like they have to because the other one's there.
Yeah,
like there's some MacGuffin, which is the whole alpha thing. There's the MacGuffin thing that they need to resolve.
Yeah,
and then they just do. And there's a simplicity to the monsters arcs that I think works really well for me, just because. It's just clean. It's simple.
Yeah, I agree. Like, and I kind of wish I'd rewatched it now with what I'm about to say in mind.
Yeah.
Because you can look at the fight sequences almost like a 3-act structure in every instance, I believe.
Oh yeah.
And the reason I think that is obvious to people who study film. I'm not someone who studies film. I'm an amateur film enthusiast at best.
Yeah.
But I think you could like, and you may do this now that I've brought this up, or you may have already been doing it. But I think you could look at each fight sequence and see, all right, here's where the turning point is. Here's where the not exposition, but here's where the buildup is. And here's where the denouement is, and in each sequence of fight.
Yeah. Well, and then you get the overall arc there, where it's like where you see Kong's arc, and that's one of the things that I think disappointed some fans, and it did a little bit to me, but then I kind of got used to it once I realized what they're going. Is this isn't Godzilla's movie at all?
No,
this is Kong's movie. This is Kong's second movie, which I think actually really just sort of works. It definitely works as like him as the character there, and that's one of the reasons why you have Godzilla as such a. I mean, Godzilla throughout all of time, throughout all of his history, because he keeps jumping around between being the good guy and a bad guy and a good guy and a bad guy and just a force of nature and whatever. Going through all those, Godzilla is what he is. Like, he's just there. And having him face that, and then like seeing Kong realize through a lot of those fights that he doesn't really have a shot here. Like, he doesn't have a shot there, but then you get down into the Hollow Earth and you have that moment with the axe. And for me, like, cause I couldn't tell from the cause they show the big axe strike
Yeah.
Like they showed that all over in the trailers, but you couldn't see until then that like, oh, that's the fin from one of those from one of Godzilla's species. And
all right, see, I didn't even pick up on that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, that's why everything when you put it down, everything glowed with that same light that Godzilla does.
That makes sense. I'm glad you're. Now I'm gonna be honest. To be fair, I was really really tired when I watched.
That's fair.
I had to watch it. I had to watch it in 2 parts because
I remember.
I fell asleep during the first. I was wide awake when it started, and the film wasn't boring, but I just wiped out, and I fell asleep about an hour into it, and so I had to go back and essentially rewatch it. So I did not pick up on that, and I should have. I feel dumb now for not having picked up on that. Now that you bring that up.
But once you have that axe there, there's suddenly that is kind of an equalizer.
Yeah.
And so then when they're finally attacking, when there, you have like, this is going to be a real fight. This is going to like actually decide what's going on. And then and I had said from the very beginning, and it wasn't like and I had people yell at me for saying spoilers or whatever, but it's just like, no, this is just basic plot knowledge, like just understanding how stories work.
Yeah.
That they were going to fight. They were going to come to either a shaky or unclear conclusion, and then they're going to team up to fight Mechagodzilla.
Well, yeah, and I was not one of the individuals, telling you to shut up, because if you've watched any of the other Godzilla movies where he fights someone who is not outright bad, like Ghidorah, or even case in point the other Godzilla versus King Kong movies, that's how they're all constructed. So it was obvious that's how it was going to end up being. Yeah. Like if you have any knowledge of the franchise's earlier entries, are any versus movie, like anyone who's seen Batman v Superman should have known. There comes a point there, because you're not going to have a popular character kill another popular character for just kind of no reason whatsoever. Yeah, it was a predictable plot, but
yeah,
as you were want to say, this isn't fucking Shakespeare. It's
it's not fucking Faulkner, people. I mean, come on.
It's, it is what it is. I don't know. You have anything more you want to add? I'm kind of exhausted with what I want to say about it for the most part. There's a few more things, but they'll wait until we get to favorite parts and final thoughts.
Yeah. I think once again, this is a spectacle film.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The plots have to be simple, because that's not what we're focusing on. It's sort of like the way I see it, there are basically 3 major ways to emphasize in a film or in a show.
Yeah.
You can make it plot forward, which is where, like, a lot of your mysteries, a lot of your mysteries, a lot of procedurals, that sort of stuff, that's all very plot forward.
Yeah.
You can make it character forward, which is like really a lot of comedies, a lot of stuff like that.
Dramas, a lot of family dramas and stuff.
Yeah, like dramas there. Like, it's like the plots are incredibly simple to the point of being like hackneyed, but that's because they don't need to be. That having a complicated plot is going to undermine what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
With there. And the same is true here, where this is a spectacle film. This is the equivalent of, this is the digital equivalent of the Roman Colosseum.
Yeah.
Like, this is not about deep plots or profound characters. This is about a giant lizard. This is about a dragon versus a fucking monkey. And that's what we want. That's why we're here. And if you are expecting more of it than that, why are you wasting your time watching this film?
Yes.
It's not pretending to be anything else. It's not like the first one where they kind of tried to trick you by having Bryan Cranston in the beginning and then sort of went like weird and lame. I still like that movie. I still like that movie.
No, I
But
figured you.
It is
undoubtedly.
easily one of the weakest Godzilla movies.
Yeah.
But that one also brought us King of the Monsters, which frankly I think is one of the stronger ones. I fucking love that movie. It's a great flick.
Yeah, King of the Monsters was a lot of fun.
So was Kong Skull Island. Those are
here's
two good movies.
Here's a bit of trivia. I have not actually watched Kong of Skull Island.
You need to, and if I have to make you watch it for the fucking podcast, because that one is one of the counterexamples of it being an actual good film.
Well,
that one is much, yeah.
I'm not against it. I don't know why I didn't end up seeing it. Well, one, I think it came out when I was super busy with shit.
Yeah, that's fair.
And it was hard. It was hard to get to the movies, so we kind of selected ones that either we really wanted to see or that you and I were going to talk about for the podcast.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just never bothered. And it was on. Here's the deal, and it was on HBO Max, but it left this. But I didn't find that out until I went to watch Godzilla vs. Kong, which I didn't do until it was almost gone.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have time at that point. But I'm sure it'll show up somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll.
It's also another one that I have on my YouTube.
Oh, see, there you go.
Yeah.
So I can watch it. I can watch it on that. So.
Yes, and that one, honestly, I think after watching, because that one I think is the strongest as an actual film, because it's a lot more. I mean, it has aspects of a character study, and a disaster flick, and I mean there's a lot going on with Kong Skull Island, and as much as King of the Monsters is far and away my favorite, I think Kong Skull Island is pretty easily the best actual film of them, like from a critical standpoint.
Well, maybe I'll have to watch it sometime in the next 4 or 5 months, and then we can talk about it on here, and we can talk about the whole MonsterVerse in general. I am, like I said, I have a feeling, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. I have a feeling I can watch the entire MonsterVerse because you have them all on your Google account.
That is not an inaccurate statement.
That is not an inaccurate statement. So what you're saying is we could realistically do like a MonsterVerse marathon next time you're out this way and just watch all of them and make your partner suffer through us watching.
She's as big into it as I am. So.
Oh well, that's fantastic. Then she can join us.
Yeah.
But anyway, anything else you'd like to add before we move on to our favorite moments of the film?
There was actually one thing I did want to talk about, and it's the Millie Bobby Brown and Friends.
Millie Bobby Brown and Friends.
Yeah. I in no way disagree with yours, and really, frankly, every review I read or watched that they don't do anything of any import until the very, very, very end, and then that could be done by literally anyone.
Yeah.
The one thing that I will say, and that I actually really liked about that little setup, is those 3 actors were very clearly having a very good time.
Yes,
they were enjoying themselves. And for me, even if something is like pointless, even if it sort of like hammers down the movie, or it's from a terrible movie or whatever, if they're enjoying it, if the people in it are really all in and really loving it, I'm there with them. You know?
Yeah. I don't have a problem with it. I think my problem with it was every time it went to them, like in a bubble, they were fun to watch. I'm not going to deny that.
Yeah.
But every time it cut to them and them doing their shit, I felt like I was taken into a different film entirely.
That is fair. I think yeah.
That for me is the problem with them. Not that they were in the movie, not that they were having fun, but it felt like the director wait, all right, we're gonna make this Godzilla movie, and in King Kong fighting movie, and while we're doing that, we're gonna have these group of misfits, high school kids, and the weird old conspiracy theorist guy running around doing goofy stuff.
Well, I think the thing for me is that if they'd edited the movie differently, I think there is potentially a cut with them in it where they are relieving tension instead of killing momentum.
And that's fair.
And right now that's exactly what they're doing. Is like they show up and they just kill the momentum that the rest of the film is building.
Yeah.
But I think it would be possible to have it so that you hit that crescendo, and then we flip over there because you hit that that whole thing in a drama. You need to have jokes. You need to have something that's funny. Otherwise, people just get so bogged down that they stop caring.
That's the problem with it. It's not that the actors did a bad job. They didn't. Millie Bobby Brown's a fantastic actor.
Yeah, she really is.
And the conspiracy theorist guy, whose name I said a little while ago, but now I've forgotten.
Yeah.
I don't know what else I've seen him in, but he's fun. He had that little edge of crazy, but the goofy crazy, not like menacing crazy.
That fun crazy.
Yeah. And so, but yeah, for me, every time it cut to them, it was like, these fuckers again. Okay, let's see what they're doing, I guess, because I have no choice. I mean, that's not true. I could have fast forwarded it because I watched it on HBO, and I have the remote. But
which apparently I was looking at this film, like at the time, broke all the streaming records.
I could believe that.
Yeah, it did really, really well in streaming. I think it was eventually beaten by the Mortal Kombat one, but
which I was going to watch and I didn't, and I feel a little bad that I didn't. I'm not gonna lie.
I've kind of been wanting to check it out myself, actually.
But it's no longer. It is no longer available on the HBO. But I'm sure it will be again soon.
Yes.
If it's not available on other streaming services soon. Anyway, getting back to what we were saying, yeah, I completely get that. So anyway, moving on to favorite moments.
Yeah.
Do you want me to go?
Yeah, you can go first. Like,
okay.
So I need to go.
So for me, the whole Hollow Earth stuff, like that 30-minute segment there in the middle of the film where they're actually in the Hollow Earth, by far my favorite moment. And there's multiple reasons why. One, I just thought it looked fucking cool. Like, I just loved the way it looked. They really, I love the whole 2 layers, the reverse gravity stuff that they did with it. I thought it was fantastic. It's Hollow Earth. The idea of Hollow Earth is one of my favorite, and not just Hollow Earth, like 2 layers, like facing each other, I guess. That's some of my favorite stuff from speculative fiction. Journey to the Center of the Earth, which I may add, if they continued on doing a riff off Journey to the Center of the Earth, only as like a group of scientists going to like study all of the crazy ass monsters that live there, that would be a they wouldn't have to involve Godzilla at all.
Yeah. Well, and then even have them and then even go with some of the things where they get stuck. That would be a great. I honestly think that would be a great, potentially great follow up to this film. Just throwing that out there. I think it would be awesome. I'm inclined to agree.
But I think they did a great job of just displaying how that world would work and that brief time we get in it. And I love the idea, and I would love to see a movie like that where they go down, a follow up to this one where they go down and like explore it and maybe discover like there's still civilizations down there that have been lost to time, that still worship the King Kong's species of apes and all of that jazz. That would be fucking cool in my opinion, but it's probably not going to happen. So, but that for me, that 30 minutes, that's my favorite moment in the film. Them chasing Khan through the Hollow Earth. Probably the runner-up would be the fight on the boats between Godzilla and Khan.
Yeah, I was going to say that like one of the ones that really hit it for me was that boat fight, because it showed like, and it was one of those beautiful examples of showing, not telling, that Kong was going to be in over his head.
Yeah.
Like that this was not going to be a straight like he have thumbs. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Like this is a giant radioactive death lizard that every other monster on the planet is like, you know what? You are the boss now.
Yeah.
We're going to do everything you say because you will murder us otherwise.
Yeah. But anyway, those are my favorite moments in the movie. Your moment, I really loved all the stuff with the axe. Like I know it was weird, and in some ways it was kind of corny, but there was just something about it, like that boat fight, and then the whole thing with the axe and the jump to take out Mechagodzilla. Like the Mechagodzilla fight, like that one just I mean, we went over the whole like city fight thing, but that was one that I just it like took me back to my childhood, made me feel all like it was like one of those warm fuzzy type things. A little bit a nice healthy dose of nostalgia.
Yes.
To warm your cold heart.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I get that. I enjoyed the fight sequences. I thought they were a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And so I can totally see that.
And I also I think one of the things that I think was just it's not a specific part, but it was sort of my favorite is both this one and I think King of the Monsters, but they got even though the humans, particularly in this one, were a little more like they could have been anybody, they got the balance right.
Yes.
Where they understood why people are watching this.
Yes.
And it's not watching Bryan Cranston's son track his sister in a different movie for 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's Godzilla. It's there in the name. Like he's... I mean, and that's something that even like some of the old Toho movies have had mixed results with. Is using it the right amount, and for different films, it's different amounts. Like it just kind of depends on which side of the kaiju you're playing around with. And in this one, it had that perfect mix. Like the humans were all generic; they didn't matter. Yeah, that's fine, but there was the right amount of those humans that didn't matter, where they just sort of forwarded the plot so that we could get to that next fight scene without like languishing over it or chewing the scenery or like developing these big, long, dramatic backstories or anything there. I mean, that's something that I think you'll even see in just to jump back to Kong Skull Island. That's another thing that they do is like they give you people's backstories, but every backstory is either everything is either fulfilling a story beat or a character beat, and it is moving things forward. Like everything is moving things forward, and this movie had a good amount of momentum. And I mean, that was one of the biggest problems with the Millie and Friends ones, is that they weren't moving it forward fast enough. Like I don't think they were. Like they didn't need to be frantic, but they needed to be less languid.
There was no sense of urgency, even when they're sneaking around the facility with the potential of getting caught.
Yeah, that became like a bit obvious, like a bit like suspicious when they're
Yeah.
like, "You're on the 3rd level of here, and you have not tripped a single security alarm."
Yeah, that
These
smacks of
whoever
incredulity, if is the
it's
word
like,
I'm looking for.
whoever was in charge of doing security for this facility, they need to be fired, if not outright shot, because they are bad at their job.
Yeah, they have failed. They have failed
Yeah.
in many ways. Anyway, so are you ready to move on to final thoughts?
Yeah,
It's
I'm ready
It's
to
going to
move
be a
on to
little
final
shorter
thoughts.
episode, but
Yeah,
that's
well,
okay.
I think that it's fine. It's fine to have there, and we don't have as much to say here because this one is it's just a fun, straightforward,
Yeah.
simple movie. Like, it doesn't need to be like, it is exactly what it needs to be.
Yeah. So as far as me, you kind of get a hint of this throughout this episode, but I enjoyed it. I didn't love it. Like John, I did grow up watching the Godzilla movies, mostly on syndication on Fox 13 on Saturday afternoons. They played a lot. Well, it wasn't necessarily Fox 13, but that channel. They played a lot of it on syndication. They played a lot of those movies on syndication back when I was a kid.
Yeah.
On Saturday afternoons, and I would just watch them because I was left unsupervised. My mom was at work. My dad was off doing other things. And on the rare Saturdays, I didn't end up going with my dad to haul firewood. I would spend the Saturday either playing video games or watching cheesy ass B horror movies from the 60s.
Yes.
on Fox Fox 13 channel. This is, that being said, I don't have the love for these films that you did. I don't.
Well, I don't think that there's many people who have the same level of.
Probably not.
There are some that are like way more, but they kind of get weird about it. Like they don't.
Well,
there are people who like it more than I do, but I think they don't understand what fun is
well,
and the point of the films.
That can be said for a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
fans become really obsessive.
There's some weird elitism in the kaiju community. That's
I think it's also true of most
mind-boggling.
communities.
Yeah,
but that being said, I'd happily watch this one again. Obviously, we're right now tentatively planning a marathon of these films.
yes.
There's a lot of fun set piece battles in this. The Hollow Earth scene, I want just an entire fucking movie of that. So if you like giant monsters destroying shit and knocking each other around, then this is a movie that you should check out. I honestly think. John?
I agree with that. I think that it's a fine extension and addition to the canon that they've created. It's like I said, this one is just sort of clean. It's clean and straightforward. I mean, at times it gets almost to the point of being sterile. Like I said, in some of those transitions with the Millie Brown and friends. Who, once again, I just want to specify, they did a fantastic job. It's just I feel that they could have been edited better and used and better utilized on a film level than they actually were. And who knows? Maybe there is a cut where that's much more the case. But
possibly,
yeah.
It's hard to say.
Yeah,
we got to say one thing that the director Adam Wingard stated, because this movie came in just under 2 hours. He has this belief, and he's quoted as stating that he feels that movies shouldn't be over 2 hours long, and if they are longer than 2 hours, there better be a damn good reason for it. Now, I don't disagree with him. I also think that this movie was as long as it needed to be, though I agree with you.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I don't necessarily think like adding more, just changing where things were cut, changing where it was cut, changing how it was put together.
That's what I'm saying is.
Yeah.
But one of the points is that he's like, there's probably not going to be any kind of director's cut just because of his
Yeah.
attitudes. Because generally, even though I agree that it could have been cut a little bit better to create tension relief instead of deflating the tension as what it did, I don't foresee a different cut of this film showing up, at least officially.
Yeah. But I could totally see somewhere down the line somebody doing like the
Phantom cut.
Yeah, the Phantom cut and something like that, doing something along the lines of that with this one.
I could also see that.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm looking at his filmography, Adam Wingard's filmography, and I have not watched it, and I know it is maligned by fans of the anime, but apparently he directed the Death Note movie that was on Netflix.
Yeah.
I have not watched either the
Although
anime.
I heard that one. I had trouble with the anime. Like it just, like I get so bored. And bored. This is just the only way to put it. I get flat out bored of the whole, like the serial killer as anti-hero or, or whatever. Like just like the and when you have like a supernatural element, but it's just sort of
kind of
boring. I mean, like there are some characters in that one that I loved. Like I actually adored some of the Shinigami, the Death Gods. Like I thought they were great, but it was just sort of like, like because I really hated both the main characters that you're supposed to care about.
That's fair.
Because they're just kind of edgelords.
That being said, we will soon be talking about an anime, though not that anime.
Yes.
Here on the podcast, because I don't want to even give it away yet. I'm almost finished with it. I have 2 episodes left, which I may watch tonight. So,
Sweet.
So anyway. So anything else you want to add before we close up?
I wanted to. I think I was just going to say something about the whole 2-hour movie thing, and how I agree with it because that like if you need more than those 2 hours, then you may as well make it a limited series. And do it as like 6 episodes and actually take your time to do it instead of just trying to cram it in. It's like make it a novella or a novella or a novelette instead of a short story. Yeah. Like because movies are short stories. That's just what they are. And they need to not go there. But I like this one. I still think that King of the Monsters I love more, but that was also I love Godzilla more than Kong, just sort of as a general rule. And so that one was Godzilla's movie, and this one was Kong's movie, and it's good, but it just didn't quite hit me the same.
That makes sense.
But it's fun. It's just stupid fun, and if you let it be stupid fun, well, you're gonna have a good time.
Yep.
And if you're expecting more, then why are you watching a goddamn giant monster movie?
Exactly. All right. Well, I think that does it for the show.
Hey, there's no ending skit?
That's an astute observation on your part.
Hey, I'm supposed to be the articulate one.
Articulate what now?
It means good with words.
Oh, okay.
So, how are your living conditions, anyway?
What? It's hot. Why?
No reason. I'll just be by later with some barbecue sauce.
Sweet!
Till next time, buy Junko products.
Woo! Buy Junko products. It's gonna turn this off.
Relevant to Our Interests is written and produced by Frank Shaw and John Belliston. Graphic design by Nathan Newell. Editing by Frank Shaw. To contact us, email us at relevanttoourinterests@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook at Relevant to Our Interests. Tweet at R2Interests. Listen to us on iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, or wherever you listen to podcasts.